can't ask it. These slides were provided by the lead lecture, so everyone's getting has the same slides. It's just the assignment, just broken up into chunks, so we can like talk you through it a little bit. So I'll run through quickly. Please stop me if you have a question. Okay, this was a big one, and you'll see I'm going to bring this up a little bit later. I'm glad you put this in here. So this is like really around kind of AI. You are going to be tempted because I guess it is the easiest thing to do, but I can't tell you enough how many of these assignments we've had collectively. And obviously going through AI, and I think what she says on the next slide, I'm going to jump there quickly because I think this is more important. This module is called Professional Ethics. Do not misuse AI and pass it off as your own thinking. AI has a voice of its own. So, I mean, this is, I think it's such a beautiful, and you'll see, I'm going to use it for learning unit 2. I've really built AI into more of the conversation. I think it's such a good analogy for us to use when we're talking about ethics, and you then have to question your own use of AI, because kind of ethics and morality are all things that ultimately will sit within you. And that's kind of a big part of this this module, is understanding that, you know, there's no right or wrong. Everyone's got a different view, informed by a different background context. And that's really what we're gonna kind of unpack a lot more. I'm not going to read this all to you. I mean, I think you all know this. AI doesn't have an opinion, and you can pick that up. It presents documents and terminology. It's normally used like with American slang. I know you also all know this. It's almost like we're telling what you're looking out for. Makes up sources. So the first thing we always look at is references. And this is really good and important for you to know just before you're tempted. I mean, I'm telling you this now with my big smile on my face and my happiest laugh. But when it comes down to the marking and it's AI, then there's no more laughing. And then like it becomes very ugly. I've had a few of these, and students are like, no, I didn't. You know, like it just gets, yeah. So do you hear me? Do you know what I mean? I just I want to put that up front. Like I've said it now around AI. Okay, cool. So this article, which I have posted for you also, I said that in the announcement around the Mail and Guardian article. So that's the basis for for almost all 3 assignments, all 3 tasks. And that's just so you have one thing to work around. So kind of get to know it. And that's what you're going to use for this essay, 800 to 900 words. Please don't go more. Really, we must stop. Like, obviously, I'll finish the sentence if it's like 903 words. But if you're doing 1,800 words, you know what I mean? We're only marking up to half of that. So really four sections. This is the same assignment, just worded differently. Okay, so break it up by marks, 8 marks, 7 marks, 8 marks. I mean, 17, 8, 17. Kind of keep that in mind in terms of the length of your answer. Okay, the validity and soundness of the argument presented by the school and the Department of Education to the parents. So this will come from some of the work we started doing in the beginning. How do you determine like validity and soundness? We can go back to the notes now, and I go to the slides and I'll just run through, but that's kind of what we're looking at. How do you bring those arguments in? Comment on the propositions presented. So that's what we ended off with last time, very briefly. And when I say ended off with, I don't by all means think that I covered it in depth. I touch on it. I mean, it's for you to go study and to question, to come back. And that's kind of why it's assignment and not an exam. So you can use open sources to do this work. Okay. I guess you all understand that. Identify the most likely philosophical approach or theory taken by both the Department of Education, the school, and the parent. And that's what we're going to start moving into now. So we're going to finish with some of the theory that you'll use in this first section, and you'll start moving into this kind of the philosophical approaches. And then a philosophical stance to support. Okay. Which, like I said, this is the next learning unit. And I don't like that she gave you this, but she did give you this, so I will oblige. Like this is too much for you, but it does make it easier when people don't know how to answer. So introduction, you know what that means. Short description of what happened and what the essay will discuss. So lay out the essay for me. In this essay, I will discuss. Okay. Paragraph 1, look at the validity and soundness. Start with the argument of the parent, what claims, propositions, he makes and what proof he has. So I mean, yeah, I'm not going to read anymore. I'll post these slides for you, but I don't want to read it to you. Explain the argument. Explain the argument. You could read it yourself. Like she's giving you too much. Okay. Around the structure, she even talks about paragraph 4, comment briefly but logically on the propositions presented. Paragraph 5 and 6, clearly identify and locate each of these positions. Okay, I can't tell you more. I mean, now if you dare like AI after giving you this entire game plan, um, some of the approaches and theories that we're going to talk about, and this will come up now. You must still go study it and you must still apply it. I'm going to talk about it like using my AI example that I told you about. So I'm going to explain it in very brief terms, but it's for you to then take that back and apply it to this case study. Your reference list. Use you don't need this page. This is just a picture. Please, I'm not saying you must do it like this. Please, Harvard Anglia, you know that. Reference list should be in alphabetical order. I guess I should repeat that. Some people still don't do it. Use material from our module as a starting point, and then others from appropriate peer-reviewed articles. So that means not a blog, appropriate, a peer-reviewed article. Okay, which means from a reputable journal. All articles should have, or a book, sorry. All articles should have authors and dates of publication. So please don't come with, don't do anonymous or the other one, not the people who in brackets NA, like it's not applicable. It is applicable. Okay. And make sure they correlate. I mean, we all do check. I love a good cross-checking of references. It's like spot the difference. Okay. And if you need help with that, this is not to brush you off, but this is these people's whole life. I'm not being cheeky, but this is like what they do. This is why they're there, is to support you if you're not good at referencing, etc. Are there any questions on that? Oh, hands up. Sorry, my questions were out. I can go back to a slide. Is it Nicole with a H? You first, and
Yes,
then
it is.
yes, and then Sarah, I do see you. Please go ahead, Nicole.
Okay. Willard, I want to know, when we
Yes.
started in our first lecture, we were taught about claims and premises and conclusions, right? So when
Yes.
it comes to this assignment, are we required to write our assignment in that same format with claims, with premises, and with conclusions?
Well, I mean, I don't know if I can go any further than what this very sweet lady has put out for you right here. What claims he makes and what proof he has. So I hope that answers your question.
Okay. And then
In
when
terms
it
of the
comes to,
format, I mean, it's a paragraph. It's an essay style paragraph. So format would be like, a paragraph. There's no bullet. I don't know if that's what you're asking in terms of format or in terms of what must be in that paragraph.
okay, and
Mhm.
when it comes to AI use, what
Yeah.
about what happens with responsible AI use, like that guideline we got for AI use from the institution? What if we use AI responsibly and ethically?
Yeah, I mean, it is such a hot topic that, oh, for the sake of time, I'm not being abrupt, so I'm not cutting you off. I could go on about this forever. Whew. So you are at like a very weird intersection of where the institution is, and not only the institution, but I guess all institutions. And I say this because I've now been to like 3 of these big conferences with all the other universities, and we're all saying the same thing. Is like everyone is figuring it out, what the approach is. So even around responsible use, that said, this institution has now started implementing some of its vision for AI use. And I said you are at a weird stage because it's really come about in the last few weeks. So it won't be printed on your assessment, but it will be communicated to you. And I think it would necessarily still apply to you. And what that means by, and I don't think I'm overreaching here because I think the principle applies. Um, in what I'm saying is the new structure. I know it doesn't affect you yet. Assessments will be clearly kind of labeled as this is a completely no AI assessment. Level 1, level 2, you may use some AI to support you. Level 3, you got free reign because the assessment will be designed in that way. So You are not there yet, but like I said, the principle is still the institution's principle. So around responsible AI use was then be declared, which would then kind of be like what a level 2 will be when it's formally recognized. And what the policy speaks to now is that you still have to declare your AI use. I hope that answers your question. And that would be the responsible AI use for now. I hope so. Okay, cool. Sarah and then Courtney.
Yes, I just wanted to ask if the paragraphs are a must if we have to structure it that way, or if it's just like something that could help us.
No, it's a really a must. It's supposed to be like an argumentative essay or building up towards this is a short essay, then you've got a long essay, then you write a bit of like a report. So the idea is that you kind of keep a very similar structure. I mean, I don't know what other structure you mean, like subheadings and bullet points is the only alternative to paragraph style, so not subheadings and bullet points, if that
Yeah, I know.
makes
What I
sense.
mean
Yeah.
is like paragraph one, I have to analyze the validity, and then paragraph two, I explain the argument.
Mm,
Paragraph three
well,
explain the argument. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, it follows the structure of the assignment questions, so that's why it's given to you like that. So that's how you'd have, like, I don't think it says 1.1, but I think it's the first bullet point in the assignment. So to answer yeah, and to answer it in that sequence is there for kind of a reason. I mean, within that paragraph, if you
Okay.
have like a bit of a sub paragraph, that kind of stuff, of course, you can play with. If for whatever reason you feel that you've got a different structure, which you think answers the question better, then you put it over here in the introduction. So what the essay will discuss, and maybe you want to then say, then you'll explain if yours is particularly different to this structure. Because I mean, if you're just going to say, in the essay, we will first look at the validity and soundness, and then explain the arguments and explain the other arguments, and then do this and this and this. That's kind of what I expect from an essay that followed this structure. However, if I start reading the essay and it's like a little bit not all over the place, that sounds like I'm saying it's messy. But if it then starts reading different and I don't know where I'm going, I would have expected to read that in the introduction. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, cool. Yes, Courtney.
Hi.
Hi, hi.
I just want to know with the research that we have to do, it says at least three articles. I assume that that's three articles, or my assumption is that that's three articles for the philosophical approaches section, and possibly the mental health and well-being section, because I feel like the argument is a lot more subjective, which I guess would be objective because if you're reading the article, you can kind of tell what's going on. But where are we researching? Like, where would you recommend we have articles and extra
Sorry,
information?
just let me understand your question again, because are you saying, what do you mean, where are you
So,
researching? So throughout the essay, the research should
just
be built.
read,
Mm-hmm.
I read, I don't know, I might have read a different assignment,
That's
but
okay.
it said at least three resources
Mm.
or additional. I don't know. Okay, let me have a look and then I'll raise my hand again and see if it was actually in
That's
this one.
cool. That's cool. It might be someone else's question. You never know. And might still be a good question. Let me see. Is it not maybe in the rubric? Uh, here you go. Three resources. Sorry, am I sharing my screen? Oh, I am. Cool.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So it's in the rubric. I thought as much. So, I mean, your rubric is always your guideline. I mean, over here they said use additional
Yeah.
sources. Then you say, okay, how many must I use? Well, here they're telling you if you want to score between 2 and 3, then you haven't used 3 additional resources
Okay, so then where would you recommend that we do our research? Is that in the philosophical approach
throughout.
paragraph
throughout.
throughout?
So in some instances, you could probably quote the textbook, like some of it is straightforward in the textbook,
Okay.
and I'd probably give, if you had the time and energy, and if you want to be an A student, that's, I mean, it's always these questions, always people like, how do I get the maximum, which is a fair question.
Sure, okay.
Then you have to build that in. So, just relying only on your textbook and the sources in the textbook is not going to get you kind of the marks. Then you're looking at like in this category over here. you know, over here somewhere, depending on how you used it. So you also don't want to over reference because I mean that just means like you put in too much time on the task, which is not the intention, is to make you work 10 times harder. But I'd say build it in throughout. So when you talk about validity and soundness, look at the textbook and maybe you have one other article that you can speak about. Maybe comment
Okay.
on the prepositions, again, textbook, and maybe one other source there to like that either affirms or whatever that, you know, or contradicts what your textbook says. Identify the most likely philosophical approach. Now here you'll have tons and tons because you have to research the philosophical. Again, your textbook would be the core, and I'd find maybe one or two. Then you've more than covered the minimum of 3. And you've
Alrighty.
not
Thank
more
you.
than, you've done 4, but yeah, and you've done it throughout. Cool.
Thank you.
Hello, Taylor. I'm just saying for the record, whoever's listening to the recording, it's not long because of me. Sorry, Taylor, go ahead.
Hi,
I'm
can
just
you hear
joking.
me?
Yeah. Yes, I can.
Sorry, I just wanted to ask, I was making notes on the assignment and like preparing my arguments and stuff. I know you can't say too much, but I was just wondering if you could just explain point 2 just a little bit more. Like I'm not understanding how to answer the question. The comment on the prepositions presented in the article that affected mental health. Um, I'm just having trouble understanding, like, are we looking at what could cause like mental health issues, like not being able to access school materials, or are we just focusing on the accident that's made him um, decline in mental health, if you will?
Cool. I'm trying to be like a good teacher and answer your question with not with not answering the answer to the thing. So I mean, if you're asking around what is a proposition, so a statement or a viewpoint. So what are the viewpoints of the various stakeholders in this engagement? What do you think this viewpoint of the parents is? What do they think is true? Why are they making that assumption? So it's so hard to bite my tongue. I just want to talk about the case that case study. So what are the parents saying, or what is the school saying? Okay, and then what are other people like? There's the department also, and then what is there? So someone saying it's someone else's fault. Based on what
Yeah,
reason are they saying that? Like, what is the claim behind that? And then you start
okay,
wondering, is that a provable fact or not? And then what would the
okay,
logical outcome be? So the school is saying this because of this, and therefore is that true? And the parent is saying this based on
mm,
this, and is that true?
okay.
Okay. I don't
So
know if it completely helps, but I mean, I think this next section, when you start looking at the theories, like what is the viewpoint, so where do the parents come from, and where does the institution as a school come from, like theoretically, and that will kind of inform some of this when you start wondering about you. Like I feel like you might feel like you're missing a part of this argument, and I think it's going to come through in the next section, in the next learning unit.
okay, because I'm just confused on
Mhm.
how, like, because the school never commented at all on his mental health. That was just the parents, but it's asking how the state is affect, like what they proposed about his mental health. So I'm just a bit confused how we can talk about that if they never actually said
Okay.
anything about it.
Well, I mean, see now you're making me give you the answer, which is hard for me to, really hard
Okay,
one. So I'll try to phrase it in a question. Well, is silence and deferring it to another body, is that not a response?
okay, fair play. I'm with you.
Okay.
Okay, thank
You know,
you.
everyone else is going like, yeah, they are loving you now. Everyone else in the thing is like, yeah, Taylor. Because okay. Um, it's okay, you can keep your hearts to yourself. I know. Okay, I'm stopping this now. So I can move on to the next thing. If you have any more questions, I will. Are there any more before I stop this for the people listening in that weren't here? Okay. Cool. You're welcome to ask more when you work. Some of you, I feel might not have